To our Best Places to Work webinar with HomeServe and SAP. My name is Dania and I look after the marketing programs for Glassdoor and EMEA. We're really excited to have you join us today for our Best Places to Work webinar. Before we jump in, I'd love to share a couple of housekeeping tips with you. Okay, so if you guys want to continue with and join in our social conversation, please use our @Glassdoor UK handle, and we have a webinar specific hashtag, which is #GDChat. So if we jump into our speakers for the day, we have Martin Bennett, who is the CEO at HomeServe. We have Matthew Jeffrey, the VP, Global Head of Sourcing and Employment, Brand HR Talent Acquisition at SAP, and our very own Mark DeToro, Corporate Communications EMEA at Glassdoor. So I'm going to pass on to Mark, who will be looking after you this morning, and he will run through the agenda. Mark, take it away.
Thanks, Dania. Hi, guys. So the rough agenda for today, we're going to talk about how it started, so how Glassdoor started, but also how Best Place to Work as an award scheme started, the methodology of the Best Place to Work. We're going to look at the winner's spotlight. So as we know, we've got HomeServe and SAP. Huge achievement. HomeServe, if anyone doesn't know, is a home assistance company, so involved plumbing, electrics, heating, etc. And SAP, software development, and they're real pioneers in that space. So let's talk a little bit about our mission. And as you can see, very top line, it's all about helping people everywhere find a job and company they love. Before we get into what it takes to become one of Glassdoor's best places to work, let's look at how it all started. So more than 9 years ago now, our founders sought to accomplish one simple mission: to help people everywhere find a job and company they love. With the launch of Glassdoor, employees finally had a platform to anonymously share feedback on their experience working for current or past employers. With that, job seekers could learn critical information about a company before applying, interviewing, or accepting an offer. They now had that window to learn what it's really like to work for a company. As you know, before this, unless you knew someone at the company or had friends or family there, it would be virtually impossible to get a feel for that culture. Learn about the leadership team and career advancement opportunities. You know, as we all know, perhaps careers sections of company sites will always be positive, so sites such as Glassdoor can really give you the genuine point of view. So, since Glassdoor's mission is to help everyone find the best job fit for them, we felt it was a natural progression to share this information in a broader setting. With that came Best Places to Work, or the Employees' Choice Award, which you'll sometimes hear it called, a list that looks at top companies. This year is our 9th annual list. We looked at the top 50 companies in the UK. We also did lists, as I said, in Canada, France, Germany, as well as a large and a small business list in the US, sorry. Now, it's a totally data-driven list, and I like to say that the global goal should not really be to make it onto the list. The goal really is to become an amazing employer, full stop, which betters chances of making it onto this list, of course. More specifically, each year thousands of companies are eligible based on the quantity of reviews for the prior 12 months and some other factors, and the ones that rise to the top have recurring themes that we look at in terms of ratings and variety of correlations, as well as qualitatively in terms of text of reviews and keyword analysis. We look entirely at employee feedback, including overall job and company. So methodology. So what the methodology behind how these lists are determined? We basically look at minimum, for the UK anyway, it's a minimum of 30 reviews between roughly November to 30th of October. So we're well into the time period for the 2018 awards. So as you can see here, I won't go through the other markets, but for the UK, it's a minimum of 30 approved reviews within that 12-month period I've suggested. And the best place to work is based entirely on employee feedback, including overall job and company satisfaction. Employees complete the anonymous company reviews on Glassdoor that capture their overall job and company satisfaction. More specifically, each year, thousands of companies are eligible based on the quantity of reviews for the prior 12 months. To be on the list, you have to have at least a 3.0 rating, and companies must have, in the UK, a minimum of 1,000 employees. Now, the main factors when we look at how we build these lists are quality, quantity, and consistency. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, the quality is things like, too many pros or too many cons in the list. Obviously, that's a key decider in whether you make the list. Quantity, so quite simply, it's a minimum of 30 reviews. We can't compare a company with, say, 5 reviews within that 12 months to one with 60 reviews. It just wouldn't be fair. And then consistency, this is hugely important. So are those 30 reviews spread over 12 months, or have they all come in a month before the best places deadline? If so, that's perhaps not a reflection of a real best place to work if you've just had 20 reviews funneled in a month before the end date. So the proprietary algorithm, obviously I can't go into too much detail on this, but based on feedback employees share during that year-long period, we then apply this algorithm to each award category. And as I said, so everything gets thrown into that. So the quality, the quantity, consistency, as we've discussed. Just some common myths. So we get asked the same question, and it's, do I need to be a tech company to be on the list? Simple answer is no. And a lot of people think they can't make the list because they don't offer those extravagant perks. Well, that's a no as well. You can certainly make the list. So these are very common myths. The truth is that these are just myths, and the reality is that the majority of winning companies, in fact, in the past year, haven't been tech companies. And lastly, being a great company isn't all about perks. Other factors such as career growth opportunities, which you have to rate on Glassdoor, and transparency of your senior leadership team, and have a tremendous impact on employee satisfaction, which gets you up the rankings. And of course, another thing we also get asked on quite a bit is about the small and medium-sized businesses, and do we ever do a list for the smaller companies? Now, as we said, in the US, we do that. We've done that for a few years now. We were very close to doing that in the UK for this year, but at the moment, it's still only companies with 1,000 or more employees. We're very close with the data we have to being able to roll out a best place to work list for small and medium-sized businesses, which we categorise as under 1,000 employees. So watch this space, but it's something we're certainly keen on and thinking about. So we've covered an overview of the awards. I want to turn the conversation towards our star speakers and our winners this year across many of our lists. So we've pulled common traits among the winners, and we have both HomeServe and SAP on the line to share what they've done at their respective companies, how they've shaped the culture and what's made them the best place to work, which is what you really want to hear. So we're going to talk about a few pillars here, and the first one is actually the mission and why it's important to believe in the mission. The first traits among winning companies that we're focusing on is to create that mission that employees believe in. We know that's super important, and use this message to inform everything that they do. So a company's mission is really its reason for being. It gives employees a sense of purpose, motivates them to come into work every day. And our research shows that mission-driven companies have 30% higher levels of innovation and 40% higher levels of retention. That's the key thing. So with that, I'm going to hand over to our first speaker, Martin Bennett, CEO of HomeServe, and he's going to tell us a little bit about their mission.
Thanks, Mark, and good morning, everyone. I'll pick up on the mission to believe in then to start with. I think if I was to look at HomeServe, having a clear mission or vision or whatever you might want to call it is certainly one of the most important things that we have. And we're a global business, so we use slightly different words across the globe. But having something that people have as a mission where they know where they're going is super important. But I think the most important bit of this is actually having a mission that they do actually believe in. So our global mission is to be the world's most trusted home repair and improvement business, and that's kind of a big global sort of vision. And what we've done in the UK is actually narrow it down a little bit because we want to make it specific, and we do want to make it something that people believe in. So our very clear mission that we talk about all of the time with our people is to be the leading home assistance provider in the UK. And we always talk about that around, it's about giving effortless service to our customers. Because it's great, home assistance is what we do, and that's easy, that's the what bit. But I think what's most powerful in a mission is how it's going to be done. And we're very clear in ours. It's about providing effortless service to our customers. So all of our people know how they're going to go about delivering their mission. And interesting, you use the word love in your mission statement, and it does need to be something more emotive than just a statement of what you do. And I think that's quite important for a business like ours, because we're not a sexy tech company. We unblock people's drains for a living. We fix their boilers. We do all the things that in people's homes when they go wrong. So having a mission that the 3,000 people in our organisation want to follow is really, really important. And we have a simple mantra to really get people to understand their role within the mission, which is, we always talk about putting our people first. And we have been consistent about that. And it's not just because this is a cultural conversation, but we want to put our people first because we're really clear that if we put our people first, they will automatically do a good job for our customers. And then we always say everything else takes care of itself, which generally it does. But what we've proved successfully over certainly the last 4 or 5 years is that actually putting the people first really does put the building block in place to enable you to actually hit your mission or your vision. And I think to probably summarize for me why the mission is so important, the one question that I always look for on our engagement survey is the one which says, I understand what HomeServe is trying to achieve as a business. Because I always know if people answer that question quite positively, you know if they actually understand where they're going or where we're going as a business. And the answer in our most recent survey was 95% of the people, so 95% of 3,000 people answered that question positively, that they knew where we were going. And to me, that's when you know you've got your mission across, because people do know where you're going.
Excellent, thank you. And Matt at SAP, what's your mission?
Well, good morning, everyone. SAP's mission or vision statement is to help the world run better and improve people's lives. So, it's a very big, bold mission statement that we have, but one that we generally hold very close to our chests. I think what's interesting for us is that we have challenges, Mark. So as a business-to-business company, we need to stand out and have that vision that people, really aspire to. And we have to go out into the market. And, there are companies out there, very consumer-driven brands like Google, Facebook, Apple, Microsoft that come readily to mind. And we compare ourselves like, imagine walking into your local art gallery and you see the most splendid paintings, and you stand in awe at their natural beauty. And then in the corner, you see there's a painting and there's a tarpaulin hiding the painting. And then when you remove that tarpaulin, you see something of a stunning natural beauty which suddenly entrances you. So that's the challenge that we have. And so when people start to get to know us, they can see that we're a very large corporation with a very clear mission. We've got around 340,000 customers in 190 countries, and we've got around 85,000 employees. That's around 150 different nationalities. So making sure that they're bought in to our vision and feel part of the corporate dream is pretty critical to us. And that's why Glassdoor is a great way and vehicle for us to be able to, share what we do out in the marketplace.
Fantastic. Good to hear.
HomeServe, and I always talk to them after they've been here for a while, how they describe the culture of HomeServe. And I think the word they would probably use is it's fun. And we very much try to create something that's fun, but in a business kind of way. You alluded to at the start, Mark, about, perks within the business. We're not a particularly perk-driven type of business, but we do try to recognize the fact that work is a really big part of your life. And we often have sort of, discussions about the whole work-life balance thing. And our chief marketing officer always says it's not really a thing, this work-life balance, because your work is your life, and you can't really differentiate between the two. And I think that is very true. And you spend an awful lot of your time at work, and then you do take it home. Many people say you don't take it home with you, but you do. And therefore, the reality is the culture that we try to create here is not one about perks, but it is one about enjoyment. We try to create a flexible place to work, which is hard when you're a 24/7, 365 business, and all of our frontline, they can't leave the telephones and they can't leave their equipment because they're helping customers. Therefore, we have to find other ways in which we can involve everybody and have fun, be it Halloween fun fairs, be it fundraising and volunteering, a whole host of different ways, really just to get people involved during the day that makes their day fun, as well as just doing what they need to do. At the end of the day, we're here to answer the phones and, fix people's boilers, and that won't change. But what you can absolutely do as a business is recognize your people in the culture you want to create. And we have 5 very clear values, and all the recognition and reward that we do within our business is simply set around those 5 things. And I think I'll just give you one example to finish on, to try and give you a flavour of the culture. Our reward mechanism, the most given reward that we have in the whole business, is called a thank you. It's all done electronically, so we used to do it on paper, but we've moved on with the times, and now it's just an electronic thing. And we only have 3,000 people across the business. And last year, the people within the business sent 27,000 thank you cards. And that's something that's free to do, it's easy to do, it recognises people, but most importantly, it recognises people who live the values within our business. And I think that ultimately is how you create a culture within a business.
Interesting. It's fascinating what you say about the work-life balance element, because I've read many studies which suggest that work-life balance really is something which is dictated by the individual. For some people, a good work-life balance is clearing their emails last thing at night, so when they wake up in the morning they have a free inbox. For some people, they don't even like to look at their emails, so they get into the office. And the point is, it should be dictated by the individual. So that's interesting. And Matt, how about the company culture at SAP.
So what's interesting, if you consider a poor old candidate out in the marketplace now, they go to a lot of websites and do their research. And if you think that most candidates see the description of a company culture as work hard, play hard, and how laborious it must be for a poor candidate to sit there and try and work out what companies truly are, work hard, play hard. And so when we look at company culture for us, it's about empowerment and making sure that there's a proper vision and a structure that people can really reach their full potential. We've launched a new EVP, and it's bring everything you are, become everything you want. And that captures our company culture. We want people to really get the skills, the training and development, and to live their dreams and to become the best that they can be. So we're all set with a certain level of skills, and it's our job to have that culture that really, really empowers people to do that. So culture isn't about setting up and having a basketball net in the office, having a pool table, putting a jacuzzi in there, or having a slide between floors. All very well and good, but it's how you impact people's lives. And so for us, we have very flexible working options. So if people want to work from home, and that fits their lives a lot better, and they're still able to deliver to maximum capacity, then why not? And we are very, very strong at promoting home working. If we have a female leader or a male leader who wants to go and do the school run in between and fit in around that, but still work and work different hours to fit around their children, why not? Exactly, they're still empowering and working for our company. So for us, flexible working is key, being able to empower people to be the best they can. So our culture is all about authenticity, letting our employees really say what it's like, not the marketing spin of, in the past maybe we thought that an EVP could be created and spun by our marketing teams. No, it's truly about what people say about our company, and they're our best advert. Hence, again, why we really enjoy partnering with you at Glassdoor to get those views out there of what our employees and candidates think.
Sure, yeah, and I must say it's fantastic working with you guys too. And that's the thing, isn't it? It's about, when it comes to work-life balance and flexible working, the most important thing is that the individual is delivering. And if you deliver, you can work when you want, where you want, and how you want. I think that's fascinating. So next we're going to talk about embracing transparency. That's hugely important at Glassdoor and for many, many companies that make the best place to work list. Quite frankly, you won't make the best place to work list unless you're a transparent company. And to let you digest that slide there for a second, 90% of job seekers say it's important to work for a company that embraces transparency. We have the data, we have the research to back this up. It's very important to embrace transparency and empower your people in doing so. As we said before, you're empowering your employees. That's hugely important. Being on the best place to work list doesn't mean being perfect, though, of course. Best places to work know that they're not always going to get it right and are willing to admit when they don't. Martin, can you tell me a little bit about how you embrace transparency at HomeServe?
Sure. I guess the whole topic of transparency is a pretty easy one for us in that I don't think this is a choice. I think if you want to be a great place to work, you've got to be pretty transparent all of the time, mainly because all of your people will see straight through it if you don't anyway. So I don't think it is a choice for any good business out there. And I think for us, transparency, there are some big building blocks on transparency for us, really starting with our strategy. People within HomeServe clearly know strategically what we want to do. They know what our winning aspiration is. They know where we play as a business. We know how we want to win. So from a strategic point of view, we are really clear, open and transparent with people. And we've had some humdinger debates on some of this strategy stuff because it impacts people's real lives. There are things that we took out of our strategy and said we don't want to play in these spaces anymore, and that impacts people. But you've got to be really clear with your people that this is where we're going as a business and this is what we want to do. So I think that's very key to being transparent as a business, as are, I think, when you talk about your people values. And again, we created our people values with our people, and they are really transparent. You know, these are the things if you come and work at HomeServe, these are the values that you've told us you want people to have, and those are the values that we expect all of our people to live. And and that's what you get rewarded and recognised on if you actually live those values. And I think the thing on transparency for me is around communication, and we spend an enormous amount of time and energy communicating with our people in many, many different ways. We have big set pieces, we call them cascades, where we will talk to all of our people once or twice a year, and we'll take them off the road, or we'll take them out of our call centres, we'll put up marquees, or we'll go to football grounds, and we'll have honest conversations. I have what I call big conversations with people all of the time, so it's small groups of 10, 15 people where we just sit around a table and chat. We have a big Yammer culture, where I think it's something like nearly 2,800 of our 3,000 people are actually logged into Yammer pretty much weekly, and are following what's going on, which requires you as a business to be open. It requires you to be transparent. It requires you to be trusting of your staff, that you'll put things on that Yammer, and I'll put things on that Yammer feed that you would not put out into the broader marketplace. But that's what transparency is about. And it is, like you say, it's not just about the stuff that goes really well. When we're having a difficult time or something's not going well, we'll have some really hard conversations on Yammer, and people will just pitch in and pitch out. And then every couple of weeks we do something called a Big Red Sofa as well. So we'll have a live broadcast to all of our people. You can watch it live, you can watch it on playback, but it just gives the team around the business a chance to talk very personally with all of our people every couple of weeks in a different way, and take a whole bunch of questions. And so I think that communication piece really allows you to be transparent, but above all, I come back to where I started, which is about you've got to be authentic in when you do it. There's no point in doing any of that transparent stuff unless you really mean it, and unless it's continuous, and unless it's something that everybody in the business is going to do. So I think making it transparent but authentic is the key for being positive about it.
Thank you. And for those of you that don't know, Yammer is essentially an internal communications tool which looks and feels like Facebook almost. And you just post updates, you put photos, etc., which is a good way of communicating for internal staff. And how about SAP? How do you embrace transparency there?
I think the key thing as well is just being a realist. No company is perfect, and yet if you look at it from a candidate's point of view, go on every corporate career site, and everywhere is a great place to work. And there's obviously all the great messages about awards being won and the visions, etc. And it gets very confusing for candidates. And then it comes to the point with, how do candidates interact with your company? So yes, we are very focused on being very transparent internally, and that comes from the ground up. So with our employees, regular one-to-ones with their management, regular one-to-ones with the team, regular communication with the regions or the sections head and our CEO, filtering down the top level strategies, and being honest about when we're doing well and honest when we're not doing so well, because that's when authenticity is at its best. But again, it's not about being internal. To be a really great employment brand and a great employer means embracing what people have to say externally. So, for example, we embrace social media. We have our Life at SAP channels where we talk about and revealing about our broadcast method of saying, look at us, look how fantastic we are, and how we're going to improve your lives. But there's no real communication on those channels. Candidates want to see behind, the iron curtain of the company, and see what is the DNA, what do people do, what are the background of people, what experiences they have. What do they do in their private time? Do they go out as groups? Is there a social life there? How do they get promoted? All of these things are key questions. And so for us, It's not about our marketing teams going out there and spinning in an Alastair Campbell type of way of trying to control the media or any of the other famous spin doctors out there. It's about how do we embrace our employees to tell their stories, to be real. And so that's what our whole EVP is, getting out on social media channels, all different communication channels, and being able to let our employees tell their story, and the good and the bad, because we're not perfect as an employer. So that's pretty critical for us. How do you judge the success of an employment brand nowadays? So you look out there, LinkedIn have their talent brand index, but for me that's difficult to see and compare. What is our TBI versus another company, let's say a Salesforce or a Workday or an Oracle? We don't know because it's a process that isn't very transparent. That's why we look at Glassdoor, because candidates can go on there and employees and truly say what they really want to do about our company. And guess what? That means then that we as a leadership team and our CEO like to get that feedback, and we listen and we make changes. And there have been significant changes to the way that we operate as a business, be it in comp and bends, be it in the way that we train people, be it our communication strategy, be it in some of the ways that our CEO communicates with the business. So having those genuine, authentic discussions and listening makes a huge difference. And if you're not a transparent company and you don't embrace both internal and external praise and criticism, then obviously you're going to be a poorer place to be.
Great. Thanks, Matt. I hope you weren't referencing me when you're talking about dodgy PR spin doctors there. But, can I ask a quick question actually on that? So for example, if you see something, an SAP employee has put a review on Glassdoor about, what they do in their pastime or what they do with their employees, which is outside of work, what do you do with that information? Just very quickly, how do you use that information and who do you tell within the organisation?
So firstly, when we see a bad review, so for both good and bad reviews, we reply to them, and we do prioritise those, reviews that, haven't been as glowing and have been negative. But for us, it's then filtering it out into the business and sharing that review or a series of reviews and showing the trend with the HR business partners in that particular area or business unit. And then that often escalates up to the business leaders there. And again, it's, one review can lead somebody to say, I'm not working for that company. We see that in things like TripAdvisor as well. The power of the crowd nowadays is so intense that if you don't sort of listen and react to it, it can suddenly turn against you. So for us, we escalate that internally and seek to get positive results. And again, when we can communicate that back and when there's that visibility, we see that as a good thing because people then respect that you've given honest answers. And if you look at some of the negative reviews, we've come back at times and we've admitted that there was a failing and we hadn't done the right thing or that we needed to look at it or we put it under review. And again, that really resonates with our audience rather than trying to debate with someone and say, you may have had that experience, but ultimately we're a brilliant company, we've won X awards. That doesn't matter to that individual, and it doesn't matter to those individuals who are reading that review and want to see how you react. So negative reviews can often be the most positive things for a company if you treat them in the best way.
Fantastic. So your reviews, good or bad, go right to the top of the organisation. That's interesting to hear. Our next pillar is actually about innovation and how companies challenge how things are done in order to innovate, experiment. And I think our two guest speakers today really do this quote justice. Martin, can you tell us about how you promote that culture of challenging the status quo within your organisation?
Sure, I'll have a go, and I think there's a couple of ways in which we do it. I think there's kind of the big things that we do, and one of our key how to wins as a business is what we call nurture an innovation culture. And what that's actually transpired to be is we have just created something within our business called the Shed, where we have a bunch of, we'll call them more innovative people, but people who like changing things and want to look at how we could generate our business differently. It's still strategically important to us, but actually looking at things that we do and saying, well, why don't we do it differently? And we set this little shed up, in fact, 4 years ago now, And over the last few years, they've done lots of different things. Most of them, if we're honest, have failed. They've tried lots of different things, looked at different innovations they thought might be interesting. Generally, they've turned out not to be, but we've actually created a couple of things that have come out a bit more recently that have been interesting. And what I like more than the outcome is the fact that the people within your own organisation really do like to innovate. And when they know your business, they can do really great things. And the most recent innovation, it's not really an innovation anymore, it's currently being manufactured in China and is hopefully going to become the next big thing for us, is something we call a leak bot or a leak detector. And we didn't think a few years ago that we could connect people's plumbing to the internet. But one of our individuals has connected people's plumbing to the internet, and it now tells you when you've got a leak in your house. So you can engage your people to think differently by funding them, resourcing them differently, giving them different goals. And those are what I would call the big sort of more corporate type things. But I think the thing that I probably like most in our organisation is empowering everybody in the organisation, but particularly what we call our frontline, those customer-facing people in our business, to give feedback immediately when we're not doing something right for a customer. And we call it customer first. And how it works is it doesn't matter where you are in the business, what your job is in the business, if you find a situation where we're not doing something good for a customer, then you can either put it on Yammer, so our social internal network, you can leave it on an answer phone message, you can email it in. And what we do every day within our business, 8:30 without fail, and we've done this for about 3 years now, every one of those things that our people raise every day are dealt with. 8:30 in the morning, small team, all just volunteer, come in outside of their normal working day, and they decide, well, is that just a myth? Is it something that we just need to communicate better to people? Is it something we do wrong as a business and we need to go and fix it? And there's been lots of that stuff. And then we're very fortunate because of what we do, we're able to help our customers in different ways. And this really gets to the culture of a business. One of our key values is daring to care. And I'll just share one example that happened before Christmas. You know, we go out to 1 million homes every year, and our engineers go into those homes, and sometimes they don't, they come across a bad situation. And one of our engineers did this just before Christmas, and he went into a guy's house who was in his 90s down in London, and the guy had no heating, only slept in an upright chair, didn't have a bed, had a broken window that had been like it for years. And I suspect 90% of tradesmen who go into people's homes would have gone and fixed the tap that he was going to fix and left. Our guy had the opportunity through customer first just to say, look, this is not good. What can we do to help? And then what was interesting is some people around our business, nothing to do, would never have known this engineer, would never have known this customer. They set about getting a working party together to go and fix this guy's house. And that is how you can actually change things, by doing what seems like small things. And it was great, and this is why things like Yammer are important. You know, the lady who took charge of the whole thing went and visited that guy on Christmas Day, and went down, took him out, on her own back on Christmas Day, gave up the morning, went down and spent the morning with this guy, took him a hamper, all in her own time, in her own money. And that is the power of actually how you get things done. But it's just creating an environment where your people can do things differently.
Okay, interesting, guys. I like the idea of not being afraid to make mistakes. I think we hear that quite a lot. I think that's really pertinent. Just conscious of time for all of us, and we want to make sure we have time for questions at the end. So let's roll through this at a faster pace. Matt, can you tell us about what you do at SAP?
Yeah, in the interest of time, I'll be brief on this one, but I think the key thing, exactly as we heard, is that everybody in the organisation has to feel that they have a part to play. From everybody, from somebody in the canteen to a cleaner, right up to the CEO. Everybody has ideas that can innovate. It's then how they are able to get them across a company of 85,000 people. So yes, we set up innovation centres. innovation labs, and we have them placed throughout the world who are consistently coming up with new ideas and trying to build on it from our employees. So again, every manager is trying to work with their team to come up with those new ideas, and when you set the right dream, then people respond to it. So if you look at some of the things we're working on, one of the most savage diseases out in the marketplace is cancer. You'll want to see that, ridden from the world forever. But then our software is being able to look at, breaking down DNA cells, looking at blood structures, looking at how cancer grows within a body, and working with our partners to overcome that. That really sets a great vision. And if you imagine Fernando Alonso screaming around the streets of Monaco in his McLaren Formula One car, and that's absolutely ridden with diodes and measuring metrics about how we can improve that car in real time. There's a lot that can be done about innovation, but it's about buying into the dreams and empowering people. So that's a key thing for us at SAP, to empower people into those dreams.
Thank you. And our next pillar in this is about so Martin, again, if we could just run through these a little bit quicker for both of us so we can get through to questions. How do you make sure you have a better fit?
Sure. Well, I think out of all of these pillars and the questions you asked me, I think this is the hardest one. And it's the thing I encourage my HR teams to really focus most of their time in, because getting this wrong is painful, not just for the business, but for the individuals as well. So I think the two things that we do try to ask all the searching questions to understand more about people's values and to see if those values fit with our values. If we recruit people who aren't interested in people, who aren't interested in consumers and doing the right thing generally, they're not going to fit here. So we need to find that out before we start. And to your point on the two-way street thing, I think this is equally as important. And we certainly encourage all of our candidates to really get to know us. And Glassdoor is one brilliant way of doing that. Facebook is another brilliant way of doing it. People can see we're a very open organisation. Probably more open than most, and our Facebook posts from all of our people are easily visible to everybody. You can see what type of people you're going to work with. You can understand if these are your type of people that you'll feel comfortable sitting next to, working with, sorting problems out with. You can see all that in an open environment, and you can learn a lot before you come and join us. So I'd agree with you. It's a two-way thing, and getting it right is hard.
Great. And Matt?
And for us, I think the key thing in the interview process, just consider the current market, is look at graduate recruitment, for one. It's a very elitist model. Companies run off to the handful of top universities out there. We can name them. We could say that, Oxford, Cambridge, Manchester, London Imperial are deemed as the best in the UK. But do they produce the best candidates? And, when we look at graduate recruitment for us, is that what if somebody went to a different university? Why should they be pre-selected out of current recruitment processes? Because they went to XYZ. They may not have had the money to go to a particular university, or they may have had to stay at home. Then when you take this argument and you look at, recruitment at the level of 1 to 4 years experience, there's little to differentiate people nowadays. Most people are coming out with a strong set of qualifications, all A stars at GCSE. They get great A-level results, all triple A's, etc. They go in and they get a degree in a 2-1 or a first. Then they have 2 or 3 years experience. There's little to differentiate them. So modern recruitment in that regard then comes down to the prejudices and the bias of a recruiter who is busy, who may have lots of CVs to look at, and then they go in and they select those people. That, for me, is the biggest failing in modern recruitment. So at SAP, we looked at, for those sort of levels, the graduates, for those people with 1 to 4 year experience, how can we improve their candidate experience and give them real-time feedback, getting a yes or no answer straight away, and without having to get that patronizing bounce-back email, you know, the one that comes back and says, thank you for applying for this, thank you very much for applying for this job, and a recruiter may come back to you if you have the right skills and experience, to never hear again from a company, and to, you know, sit in a database rotting for 12 to 18 months before they're deleted because of data privacy and protection rules. That's not a great experience. So that's when we've embraced, really embraced at that level, assessments. So we have assessments as part of our interview process. Candidates from any university at any part of the country, we're measuring their skills and their experience to be able to then answer a series of culture fit questions and situational judgment questions that then produce a real-time answer to that candidate, yes or no, into the interview process. And that's seen us be able to attract higher quality candidates from places we would have never, ever imagined before, provided a better candidate experience because candidates are getting real-time feedback and knowing where they stand, and they get a 3 to 4 page immediate assessment report on their skills and experience and fit within SAP, so they can learn from that as well. So that for us is innovation, but actually computers, they're not scary all the time. They can provide a more human and humane experience, and so that's one of the interesting things that we tried to do at SAP, and hopefully that's come across today, that we've innovated but actually helped our candidates and helped our recruiters reducing their workload of looking at screening people that it's very difficult to select on.
It's a good point. I think no one likes not hearing back from job applications. So that's a great point. Interesting. Okay, so we talked about the interview process. So how about retaining the best talents, Martin?
I think it's retaining top talent. We very much look at it. You know, top talent is just not at the top of the organisation, it is from the top to the bottom of the organisation. We have top talent who will today be out there fixing things in people's homes. They may be managing those people. They could be the senior management within the business. So there's lots of top talent around. And retaining them is not something I think you can do on an individual basis. I will come on and talk to some things that you can do. But for us, it is around creating an environment where the people within our organisation are really engaged. And the thing that we have done religiously is monitor and track our engagement score. So we do it twice a year. We really do go through what people tell us. What is it we're doing well? What is it that we're not doing well? And create an environment where people are engaged. And that could be learning and development, which has been our big focus for the last 12 months, because like many organisations, your people tell you that they really want to learn, and that's not a surprise to most people, but it is about what you do about it. So we are focused pretty much totally in terms of trying to retain our key talent and general talent in making it an engaging place. And our engagement scores improved from sort of low 50s to just over 80 last time we did the engagement survey. And that is about listening to what your people really want done within a business and actually doing something about it, be it training, be it mentoring, be it structured learning. There are lots of things that we could do to make this an engaging place for our people to work. And what we found is, as our engagement's gone up, our attrition has gone down because people just enjoy coming to work.
Yeah, I mean, the impressive retention figures there. Same question for SAP. How do you retain that talent?
I think you're very brief, because I think, you know, the previous answer was spot on. It's about just keeping things transparent and listening to our employees and letting them feel that they have the voice. So yes, we've got to make sure that we have the top, you know, we have good competitive salaries, and we were lucky enough to be voted as the best salary payer in the UK by Glassdoor last year. But it's more than just money. It's about, you know, making sure that they have a good work-life balance, that they can work, you know, from home and have that flexibility, that they have the, you know, chance to be able to develop and be promoted. And if we don't do that, then our talent is open to being headhunted, and we can't complain if we lose them. So we have a low attrition rate because we listen to our employees and make sure we're always on the cutting edge of keeping them engaged in our company. So, that's key for us.
Thank you. So I'm going to quickly go through why it matters, why the culture effect actually makes a difference to retaining talent. I'm going to run through all of these really quickly because we want to hear from your questions. We want our speakers to be able to answer your questions. So apologies if we're going really quick through this. But listening to your workforce allows you as leaders to identify and hone in on problem areas. Okay, we all know that, and you can see those on Glassdoor. Remember, it's not just your employees or candidates reading those Glassdoor reviews. It's customers, partners, investors. So, for example, we know that Salesforce use Glassdoor reviews to decide, as part of their decision-making process, decide who to invest in, who to buy, which is fascinating. Company satisfaction is associated with better company financial performance. That's a fact. And as a consequence, performance in the public markets. So this slide looks at, we did a bit of research which looked at what's the main driver of actual satisfaction. And as you can see quite clearly, comp and benefits is towards the bottom. Only 12% said it was important, whereas culture and values is up there at 23%. So that's hugely important there. And this is looking at the S&P 500 performance. And what is this? This is essentially the American stock market, and we can see the relationship between engagement and business results. Our chief economist Andrew Chamberlain actually sought to explore the trends and correlations between culture in a company and then the stock performance. And very top line, what we uncovered is that the best places to work companies who are known for especially strong cultures outperform the S&P 500 by an average of 122%. So if you're a best place to work, you're going to perform better on the stock market. So key takeaways, let's recap. Very simply, there are 4 key points from this conversation. So the greatest levels of employee satisfaction are culture and values, not necessarily money. Career ops, senior leadership. As I've just said, it's not just candidates and employees using Glassdoor. Venture capitalists, investors, businesses choosing who to invest in, journalists are all using Glassdoor as an investment tool. Thirdly, be clear on what makes your culture unique and then celebrate it. Use Glassdoor to celebrate it. Use all your social channels. And then realize pay is an important factor to get employees in the door, but building that real engagement takes work, and that's what we do at Glassdoor. That's what's key to us, and that's what ultimately will get you on the best place to work list. So Dania, we're going to hand over to some questions now.
Fantastic, thank you, Mark. I hope everybody enjoys the wealth of content that's been shared today by Matt and Martin. I know that, as everyone said, we're running a little bit short on time, but I'm going to start with a question from Mark, and then I'd love to throw one out to both Matt and Martin at SAP and HomeServe. So, Mark, very quickly, is there a plan at the moment to launch Best Places to Work program in countries such as Norway, Ireland, or Singapore?
Not at the moment. We're constantly looking to expand the Best Places to Work list. As I said, I think our next step, the next new list, especially in Europe, will probably be a small and medium-sized businesses for the UK. That's what we hope to do. That's what we'd like to do. But data integrity is the most important thing for us. We're not just going to throw out a list for the sake of it because perhaps our competitors are doing it, or perhaps because other people are saying these are the best companies. Data is the most important thing to us, and so we'll do it when the time is right. So that's probably the next list, and of course, as we grow, we'll the dream is to have a best place to work in all our key markets.
Fantastic, thanks, Mark. So I'm going to throw one out now to SAP. Matt, how do you know that what you are doing as a best place to work is working?
So I think that's a great question, and it comes to what we talk about every day with our employment brand, is We enter into a number of Great Places to Work awards and Top Employer awards, which is always good to put yourself up as a benchmark. And there's obviously independent questionnaires often with those that go to employees that, you know, can say their views. We have an annual survey which goes out to all employees where they can give confidentially their views and feedback. And then obviously Glassdoor, which is absolutely critical for us to be able to monitor where we're at. So what happens with the data? Our CEO gets to see it every month when we have a report, and obviously he's rated on there as a great CEO, and his mark can go up and down. And so at the moment we're enjoying a time where we're getting, you know, stronger marks, and we're encouraging all our candidates to go in and leave their feedback, you know, pass or fail, whether they get a job or not. And anybody, you know, it's all about transparency. And at some point we will go down. You can't always go up, but that's probably the best time when you can re-look at things and learn. So there's a number of measures, but you're one of the most critical for us at the moment.
Well, that is great to hear. So let me ask Martin. Martin, the exact same question. How do you know that what you are doing at HomeServe as a best place to work is working?
I guess if we looked at, for me, it's how can you measure yourself as a company, I guess, because we do all these things because we do want to make it a great place to work, but ultimately you do have shareholders and you do have customers, and they've ever been, which gives me confidence that our strategy of making it a great place to work and putting our people first is really delivering, because the only people who are going to see any benefit from that at all are our customers, and then ultimately, I guess, our shareholders. So I would go almost directly to what our customers say about us, which is, again, very visible. Anybody who joins us as a new customer always goes and looks at what all the reviews of our current customers say about us. So you can only influence that by making it a great place to work and actually genuinely and authentically doing a great job. So that's how I look at it.
Fantastic. I think we have time for just one really quick question for Mark. Mark, what is the best way to promote your business on Glassdoor?
Well, at first we'd say engage with your profile. So claim your profile. So it's totally free. And then once you've claimed your profile, do things such as updating all your images, you know, promoting the fact that you want your employees to use Glassdoor, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So just ask them to be transparent and put what they think is their experience of working for the company. So basically promoting people to put reviews on there. Images, as I said, you know, you can get your social media streams on there. Update your company information. Respond to reviews using Glassdoor is hugely important. Show engagement. We know that's when job seekers are looking at various places to work and they're on Glassdoor. If they see that employers are responding to reviews, they're far more likely to want to apply for that company, because they feel as if it actually really matters. The company culture really matters. So there are a few things there, but you know, claim your profile. It's totally free, and you can start to really manage it, and then you can have then access to some of the back-end analytics, which you can then use to compile reports, and then take to directors, to the board, to tell them about the sentiment and really feedback on the pulse of your company, and make you as an individual look super smart and super up to date with what your employees are saying and how people are working for your company are feeling. And what you'll see from that is over time you'll become more of a transparent organization, your ratings will grow, and as I say, maybe then you can feature as a best place to work and get all the amazing publicity that will bring.
Thank you, Mark. So I think that is us out of time. I want to thank everyone today for joining us on our Best Places to Work webinar for 2017. We will be sending the recording out later today, and we also have a London and Manchester roadshow stop. We will have our registration links in the follow-up emails that will come out shortly after the webinar, and please do reach out to us if you have any questions. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care.